Hi and welcome to video B1 in this series of Autodidactic learning objects in GeoGebra. My name is Jonas Hall, also known as the Mad Mathematician. So this series is about learning objects, things on the screen that can help a student to learn something without the help of a teacher. And in this series we've been focusing on two different types of learning objects and the two templates that we've produced to help you create these. And this is about the second template, the practice template. And on screen we can see a simple learning object which has already been produced. We use it by clicking the Start button, and we're asked to find the A value. It says train A, train B, train C. We're asked to find the A value for the second degree function, and I entered -2, which was correct. I wasn't all that fast, so all I got was 4 points. I've done it in one trial, and for one task I've got one correct and I've got 4 points. Click New Task. Well, that's got to be 0 if this is a second degree, and I believe that's -1. I've already set this particular learning object so that it knows that it should produce random values for A, B and C between -2 and +2. So that's why I can see it so quickly. Let's say I fail. Oh, I don't know what that is. I bet it's 1. Oh no, maybe not. Well, maybe 0. Right, I still got some points, but it notes that I had an extra trial. I've now got 5 trials and 4 tasks. If I run out of time totally, I wonder what that is. Maybe it's 2. No? Well, maybe it's -2. No? Oh, I ran out of time. Then a new button will be shown which says show the answer, and the answer of course is 1. The red and green texts are about a dozen each and randomly produced of the list. These lists can be changed. Unfortunately, when I click the new task, I have to put some value. Here I put 0.01. It's not ideal. I would have preferred it to be empty, but GeoGebra won't let me produce an empty box, and I don't want a whole number because most of the time they'll be practicing for whole numbers, and what if it already says the answer? So I opted for 0.01. You'll be hard pressed to get more than 7 or 8 points with that, because you've got to erase it first, but there you have. Now this particular learning object actually uses these buttons, train number A, train number B, train number C, because you can actually say, right, I want to train C and I want to restart. And now C is -1, yeah? And this time C is -1 again. Yes. What about B? How good are we at practicing what B is? Let's restart. It's slightly shifted to that side, but it's negative. How about -1? Yes. This is more difficult. That should be 0. Yes. be 0 as well. Sometimes you're just lucky. And that one is -1, I think. No. Okay. -2. No. Oh dear. There was 1. Because this is negative and it's shifted to the right. Okay, so we can actually practice these things. The timing can be set if you fiddle about in the settings. But this is generally how a ready-made learning object of this type works. Let's go and have a look at the template itself. The template looks like this. Here you've got input fields for the smallest number and the largest number. It was from 0 to 2 without negatives. And that controls all the numbers, A, B, C, and also D, which is a 4th randomly generated number, which you can access. So you can set the maximum and minimum numbers. If you're only training one thing or two things, you can hide these. And if you want to set the maximum and minimum numbers, you set them and you then hide these controls. You can, you've got a little sort of instruction text here, and it's in Swedish, but it says something like this. Welcome to the template for self-correcting tasks. If it's only one number or one parameter to be determined by the student, then hide the checkboxes train B and train C. That's what we spoke about just recently. And if you want to, you can set the largest and smallest number and hide those input fields. We said that. If you want that the correct answer is not, for instance, number A, tal A, then you've got to do something. You've got to show the algebra window and auxiliary objects and change the definition of the variable rätt svar, correct answer. Okay, so how do you do that? Well, you show the algebra window. This is in Swedish, but it's the same. Show algebra window. And there's nothing there because I've set everything to be auxiliary. Only the things that you create yourself will be shown here. Unless we click this button, and if you can't see it, it's probably because the style field is hidden, but you can show that field there, the style bar. And when you've shown it, you click Hjälpobjekt, which is auxiliary objects, and you get quite a lot of stuff there. There's a fair bit of stuff to make this work. And we wanted to find a number which was called rätt svar. Okay, so I right click and I show the properties, and it's got a definition here that looks a little bit complex. It says if, and this is a logic variable, if train A is true, then this should default to the number A. If not, then let's check again. If train B is set active, it should default to number B, and otherwise it should default to number C. The train A and train B logical values, or Boolean values, or Boolean variables, are in fact the checkboxes, train A, train B, train C. So it says, depending on which checkbox I have, I check for a different number. And you can change this definition. If you only want one number, you can erase everything of that and just say what it should be. But it should be something that depends on the numbers tal A, tal B, tal C and tal D. I mentioned that you could change stuff, right? Okay, so let's see what you can change. Well, you can change the lists. Feltexter and rätttexter are the texts that pop up when you've given a correct or not correct answer. Feltexter is the incorrect answers and the rätttexter are the correct answers. And that can be any number of texts in a list, and it just picks out a random one each time. Right? We said that you can change the timing. Okay, so let's have a look at how to do that. We look at the numbers, and we've got a variable called time. Time is actually defined as a slider which goes from 0 to 1 with a step of 0.1. So every time you start or set a new task, it will start clicking up from 0 to 0.1 to 0.2 to 0.3, etc. And that is what controls the bar, the progress bar and the number of points you get. Now the animation speed is set to speed. Speed is a variable, a number, and there it is. And currently it's simply set to 1. If you set it to 2, it's going to go faster, and you probably don't want to do that. But if you set it to like 0.5 or even 0.1, the student will have a lot more time. Okay, in order to create something, you may want to hide this text itself. Now I've produced a little button here to do that, show or hide the help text. And when you're done, you don't really want these buttons or the texts to be there. So I've produced another button that will hide the buttons permanently. Well, you can get them back, but then you have to type something here. You have to type visa knappar equals true, and you get the buttons back, and then you can show the text. That is actually mentioned in the text. To show the buttons again, enter the command visa knappar equals true in the input field. Okay, so this is what the template looks like, and this is what it does, and this is how you work it. Now we're going to actually do something now, and we're going to create something that will test whether students know how to solve simple equations. Now for simple equations, we think of equations of the type 2x plus 5 equals 8x plus 3, things like that. There are 4 numbers there, so you're going to have to use all of these numbers, tal A, tal B, tal C, tal D. And to avoid writing things like plus minus 5, we'll set them to be positive numbers. And in fact, I don't want to write 1x either, so I'm going to have the lowest number to 2 and the largest number to 10. I don't actually want to train different things here. I just want the answer. So I'm going to hide these. I'm going to right click that and hide it. Right click, hide, right click, hide. I'm going to hide these. Right click, hide, right click, hide. Instead of give the value, I'm going to change that text. So I go in, I right click and go into the properties, and I change that text to x equals with a space. I press tab before I close, and that looks better. This looks like I'm solving an equation. Okay, now I'm going to have to display the equation. So to do that I need some sort of text, and I might as well use this empty area here. So text here, and I'm using these objects, numbers tal r, b, c and d, and there they are. So tal r times x space plus space tal b space equals space tal c x space plus space tal d. Right, so that structure will actually give this for now until it's reset again. These numbers are random, remember. So I click OK. Now it shows up pretty small, so I'm going to right click and go into properties, and on the text tab I'm going to say very large. Okay, or maybe large is enough. Okay, that's quite good. I will now right click again and I will give it an absolute position in the window, and I will lock it. This will help keep it in place if the user accidentally zooms in the underlying grid. This means that it won't be shooting off somewhere if they accidentally hit the mouse wheel. I also want some kind of instructions. I'm going to make another text, and I'm just going to say solve the equation. And I'm going to make that really big. Really big. Now actually I didn't have to use this area at all, so I might as well close it if I want to. Before I do that, I'm going to set the correct value, because the correct value for this equation is not tal r, it's not 4 that is the answer to this equation. I have to work that out, of course, myself, and then I show algebra, I show the auxiliary objects, that was already shown, I find the retsvar, I right click, go into properties, and I just simply erase all of that. And I'm going to shift it a little bit so I can see the equation. Right, that's A, B, C and D. So what's that going to be? To solve this equation, well, this equation doesn't have a solution, but to solve it you would take A minus C, you subtract those number of x on both sides, and that winds up with the x's on the left, and you would take D minus B, and that would result in a number to the right. Now you would take that number divided by the number of x you've got left, which was a minus c. So it's going to be bracket tal d minus tal b divided by bracket tal r minus tal c. That will be the solution to the equation, and that is what I want to test. Okay, so close that, and first try that. I can see that 1x equals 0 here, so let's try that. Hit enter, and yes, it's correct. I don't actually get 10 points. There's no score here because I've not started yet. Okay, but let's try it. Let's start. 3x equals 7, so x equals 7 thirds. And yes, but I don't get 10 points because I just ran out of time, unfortunately. But yeah, it was correct. We're probably going to need to change the timing on this one, so I'm going to show that, and I'm going to go for another speed. I'm going to set 0.25 there, I think. Okay, let's try again. Right, 7x to the right equals 1, so x equals 1 over 7. Yes. It will approximate it. I may want to set more digits there to show the students that these values aren't exact. So let's say 5 decimals maybe. I wonder what happens if you go for 10 decimals. No, doesn't look very nice. 5 is fine. Right, restart. X here would be something like -4, and I got that for 8 points. New task. If I fail, 7x equals -4, but let's say it's 4, so I enter 4/7. It's wrong, and the time keeps running. And if the time runs out after a number of trials, it won't give new incorrect texts for the same task. It will just keep the incorrect text. And I'm about to run out of time. Let's do a desperate last attempt. No. Okay, show the answer. And it was in fact -4/7. It won't actually give the fractional text there. You could make it do that by going in and changing this text. So let's just do that, shall we? Right click, properties, texts. What happened there? It's locked. If you change it, you've got to unlock it, then you can go into the properties and select text. Here we go. Now it says rätt svar there, right? But I want actually to have the fraction as well. So I want to have the upstairs, I want the D minus B bit. So I go in and I say I want to have, well, first I want an extra space. Object, go for tile D, and if we now put minus tile B, it's going to be something like that. I don't want that. I want tile D minus tile B and computed, and I can do that if I do the computation in the box. So I put the cursor in the box, put minus, and it does an error message, but don't panic, tile B. Sorry, put the cursor there, tile B. No. Minus, right, let's type it, tile B. That works. So you can't actually insert it, you've got to type it. So that's the -4. Now we can put the division sign, and we do the same thing. We enter tile R, put the cursor inside the box and type minus tile C. And then we go outside the box and we put space equals. That should do it, yeah? Okay. This gives a better answer perhaps. Let's try a new one. 2x equals -2, so this should be -1. And you've got -2 over 2 equals -1. Now I'm quite happy with this, so let's finish off by hiding the auxiliary objects, hiding the algebra window, and since we didn't use this area, the graphics window, close it and compact it a little bit. And important, before you save it, you need to reset it. So we reset it and we actually wait until this bar drops down before saving it, because all the while various variables have different numbers now, and if I save it now it will open with the bar intact. So I'll just let that drop down. The use of colors on the bar is simply something called dynamic color, and one of the A series videos will tell you all about dynamic color. Save as, because you don't want to save the template because you then ruin the template. So you save this as equation training version 2 or something like that, and you're done. You have created a learning object, and your students will be able to practice solving simple equations with coefficients from 2 to 10 without negative signs. And that was that. This is how you do a learning object from the practice template. In the other video, the B1, you can see how to make learning object from the instructional template, the template with the comments in. And in the A series videos, which are shorter, I will go through small details like how checkboxes work, or how dynamic color work, or how time control works, how command button works, etc. But this is all for now. Thank you very much for listening.